All right, there we are. There we are. Have some tea with honey in it right here. We're gonna break down a little bit one thing and then another thing and a couple of things, and at least give it a mention to discuss the disturbing events that have been unfolding lately. But I'm gonna wait a couple of minutes, see if anyone joins or comes on. You never know. If you guys haven't seen my prior video about the two recent dreams, I really am trying to put the two and two together, meaning, a few years back, essentially my grandpa gave me a prophetic dream, for lack of a better word, showing me of something that will be, he implied something that will be heard and seen around the world, a big global event, shortly after the Ukraine war started. And my grandpa shows up in my dream again, except this time, last time the setting was completely normal. We were walking in a forest that actually looked like Russia. It actually looked like Russia. Russia has a unique forest, beautiful forest, or Western Russia does. It doesn't look like anywhere else. And this time that setting was completely flipped upside down, guys. And the prior dream was, practical and realistic in its nature, while this is like almost supernatural. Maybe the message was supernatural. Maybe it was literal. Maybe something is to come from below ground. I don't know. But I do sense that my grandpa was trying to give me a message. Again, just like the last dream. And would I be surprised if something emerges in this cesspool of a reality from below ground? No. No, I literally wouldn't be surprised if a 50-foot tall spaghetti monster just starts floating around, and all these like snail people and monsters with 50 heads, like that wouldn't shock me at all in a place like where we are, where clearly there's stuff being hidden probably below ground, and things are going on that you can sense deep within your soul that is going on. And everyone with an intuitive mind and soul knows that there's something terribly wrong here. So yeah, and speaking of something terribly wrong, we have to put the pieces of the puzzle together, guys. HELIOFANT and ipetgoat2. I'm talking about this again because it's important in the recent events that have unfolded. So I want to remind you, and I may be beating a dead horse, saying this repeatedly over and over, but this is really important, that it came out, the cartoon ipetgoat2 came out in 2012 by HELIOFANT, a company which was completely silent, right? Until when? Until 2022, when they came out with a strange video over the summer implying SOS, something significant emerging, and simultaneously they altered their website to imply the Jewish people in a derogatory manner. And ever since then, the gimmicks and games they have played, which have only been a handful of things. We're talking about another video which came out this summer. And then, of course, the taking down of the cartoon itself. They took down ipetgoat2 for approximately 6 months and re-uploaded it with a different thumbnail and a title in all capitals. Now, the title in all capitals implies to me that this is the time, that this is the time frame to be looking at, because there is no reason to put that title in all caps unless you're trying to send an urgent message. This is, in my opinion. So their current website, HELIOFANT, has a stereotypical Jewish man enveloping and taking over the world. Okay? So this has been an ongoing theme, and the timing of this is precise. It is scary, right? So just before October 7th, basically is when they came out with that SOS video and made all these changes a few months before, not just before, but the fact that they tied in, basically, Israel is tied in with Jews, etc., right? And they have been playing a massive role in the news lately. I mean massive. Now, since that time frame, since they indicated that this time frame will come, we have seen unprecedented, brazen things taking place, the likes of which we probably haven't seen in our lifetime. At least the second worst that I could remember was around 2003 with all the bus bombings and stuff. This is monumentally worse. Now, that is eerie to me. That means that they knew, they absolutely knew that this was to come. So that cartoon is still significant, regardless of the fact that we have yet to see the final event, because they implied things are dragging on for long periods, including the bullet hole in the rabbit's ear, right? So that happened in July, right? So that bullet hole in the ear implied an exit point, because chaos was to follow. And I thought, in my opinion, I thought that this was the final event, that you have to exit before the final event. But now, reflecting back on it, I see it as more like an exit before the chaos unfolds. And lo and behold, there has been a lot of chaos since that time, and a lot of instability, and things that I don't even have words for with this whole pager thing. That's the primary reason I'm making this video. Now, when a friend of mine sent me this video of a device exploding on someone's body, I thought it was literally a joke, because I didn't know it was happening. We're talking about these thousands of electronic devices that have exploded in Lebanon, killing scores of people and maiming thousands. Now, I want you to really try to comprehend just how horrifying that is. It's just beyond creepy to think about such a thing. And so I thought it was a joke. I was like, okay, first of all, pagers. My dad had a pager. Nobody has a pager anymore. I thought, what the hell do you mean by pager? I was not aware that pagers still exist and are still manufactured. Now, this is what bothers me the most, is that the consensus is that the supply chain was disrupted, and somewhere in between all that mess, they somehow planted little explosives inside each device, or just coated them with some kind of thing that would, a catalyst of sorts that would ignite the lithium, right? I'm not a supply chain expert. I don't know how that stuff works, but to me that seems utterly ridiculous that there would be, you know, if you're manufacturing a product, there would be relentless checks from one step to the other of that product, and on and on and on for each phase of the manufacturing and distribution process. You're going to have, so what are they implying? That some guy for the company pretended to work for said company and somehow sneaked in these explosives? I don't know. My opinion is that this is some kind of heat weapon or some kind of secret weapon that they're not telling us about. Um, some kind of plasma heat ray or something that, you know, ignites lithium from a distance and causes it to explode. I don't think that this planted stuff makes any sense, and that's a scary thought because it's if that is true, if there is some kind of weapon like that, then who's to say it won't happen anywhere else? Now, the brazen attacks are continuing in the forms of bombings and, you know, relentless chaos against Lebanon. Now, my concern right now is there's been almost no retaliation. Now, you might say to yourself, well, that's great. That's great. You're probably thinking to yourself, well, cooler heads are prevailing and they don't want to escalate it into a global war. That might be the case, or they might be cowards and are literally afraid and don't want to because they fear an even bigger retaliation. But I can't associate the word coward with these groups of people. It just, those two don't really go hand in hand. And I'm also want to be clear that I'm speaking objectively and not taking sides. But I do think you probably get the idea of some bullying going on here, if you know what I mean. There definitely is. But that's one possibility, is that they're afraid, their cooler heads are prevailing, or the more scary and disturbing outlier to that is that they're preparing for a much bigger event. They're preparing for something that would be far bigger than a normal retaliation, and they're waiting for a perfect moment for that to happen. I don't know. All I know right now is that HELIOFANT implied this group of people from Israel for years now, for a long time, and that cartoon has an association with these events because you have the Muslim mother crying over the dead child, you have the bombed mosque, you have religious tones all over the place, and very specifically Islam is shown on many occasions. Okay, so in conclusion, I would like to know your opinion as to what this pager stuff is. Now, from my understanding, they use pagers not to be detected by Israel. Okay. What do you think? Do you think this is some kind of super secret weapon? Do you think it's explosives? I don't know. I'm deviating from my normal subject matter because this event is bothering the shit out of me. So, yeah, I hope that makes sense.